In the continent of Tamriel, we can encounter various enemies, from wolves to dragons. Some live in the forests, some deep in caves away from any sunlight. Let's focus on Falmer, or Snow Elves, as they were called in the old days. Once they were a proud nation of powerful magicians. Now they are nothing more but strange blind foes that delve deep in the ground. In their golden era, before the arrival of the Nords, the Snow Elves inhabited most of Skyrim and the western areas of High Rock. They resembled other elven relatives. They were tall, pale, had long, fair hair, and they lived exceptionally long. What distinguished them from other elves was their high magical potential and a passion for frost magic. Their empire was thriving during the Meretic era. At some point, however, the first people from Atmora came to the northern shores of Skyrim. They initially lived in peace with the elves, but as the next years showed, the peace was very fragile. Soon an exceptionally bloody war broke out. The town of Sartal was the first settlement founded by people of the continent, and its rapid development troubled Snow Elves. What is more, elves suspected that the Nords had found the source of enormous power deep beneath Sartal. Snow Elves attacked the city and razed it to the ground, killing every inhabitant inside. Not everything went according to the plan. A man named Isgramor and his 2 sons managed to escape. They came back to Atmora and gathered a large army. Later, Isgramor returned to Skyrim with the legendary 500 companions. The battle for the territories of Skyrim began, and the day of the attack of the elves on the North was called the Night of Tears from now on. Elves defended themselves bravely, but nothing could stop human hatred. After recapturing Sartal, Isgramor turned to his men and delivered a frightful cry that was reportedly heard on the distant shores of Atmora. He called on the remaining inhabitants of the island to join his companions in Skyrim. In the following years, the Nords were determined to drive all elves out of Skyrim. People went deep into the continent with no mercy. They even made necklaces out of elven ears to show their dominance. Those of the elves who did not fall from the blade were taken captive and forced to work in the fields. Losses on the side of the Snow Elves were quickly counted in thousands. The Snow Elves made their last stand on the island of Solstheim. The final battle of this conflict took place at Moosring. The elves have been destroyed yet again. Survivors had to hide from every human. Most of the Snow Elves, in desperation, went to ask the Dwemer for help. The dwarves agreed to let the Snow Elves into their underground strongholds. But every Snow Elf who wanted to enter had to consume poisonous mushrooms harvested in Blackridge. The toxic fungi gradually blinded the Snow Elves. The Dwemer lied, saying that blindness was temporary. Soon the Dwemer enslaved their blind cousins and forced them to work as slaves. Years passed, and the next generations of Snow Elves started to resemble the gruesome and primitive creatures that we know as Falmer. At some unspecified moment in the First Age, the Falmers rebelled against their oppressor and an underground war began. It was bloody and brutal, but it ended suddenly when the dwarves disappeared. Falmers left on their own started to develop their new culture. They had to adapt to the new conditions of life. They didn't look like proud elves, more like goblins. Their eyes became black and lifeless, and they smelled badly. Their exit to the surface was only a matter of time. Initially, no one believed in their existence. They appeared unexpectedly and left no prisoners. People talked among themselves about goblins, which at night grow out of the ground and kill cattle, poison crops, or attack careless travelers. It is safe to assume that the Falmers were blamed for all evil of the world by the Nords. In the Fourth Era, during the events of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the Falmers are no longer a legend. They are a real threat. Attacks intensified every year. More and more Falmers were also seen. Several were even killed and later examined. However, there is still a chance that over time they will come to regain their ancient glory.